Hello, my name is Michael Hennessy. In this series of videos, Shay Phelan, Kieran Collins and I will visit farmers who are working with the Enable Conservation Tillage project over the last 5 years. We will visit these farms throughout the year to see how they're getting on using their establishment system, but also to see how they're controlling grass weeds in these systems, of which some of the weeds are problematic on many of the farms. So we're heading down here in Kilkenny down to Brian and Eoin Lyons Farm. We're in the middle of a conversion from a plough-based system to a direct drill-based system.
I think generally it's going very well. They're into the 5th season now this year in the direct drill system. It's had its challenges, there's no doubt, since they started. We'll hopefully get into a few crops today and see how they're progressing.
So Eoin, you changed your system over the last number of years from a plough-based system into a more direct drill-based system. What prompted you to make that change?
So what prompted us here, Michael, was we've been plough-based system here since the early 80s. In that system, the land was just becoming wore out and that yields were dropping off, and it was extremely hard and difficult to try and maintain soil health. Coming out from that viewpoint, we looked at changing into a different system, with soil health being #1 priority in order to try and improve it on the farm. And that's where we landed at a direct drill system, and we started the direct drill system here in 2018.
Well, I suppose when Eoin came with this, it was a major change to think that you weren't going to plough. How is this going to work? But he was very, very convincing in why it should be done and for the fertility of the soil and soil structure and all that. So we said, yeah, we'll give it a go.
We were coming from having machinery that was only usable on a plough-based system. If we had gone through the min-till system, we would have had to go buy maybe different equipment for that and then transition into a direct drill system. So we made a decision to go straight to the direct drill system and just have one machine then that could put our crops in the ground basically. It was a big challenge. We decided to only start our direct drilling across the farm coming in after break crops. That allowed us to improve our soil after the break crop and make sure that I suppose the transition was going to be that bit easier on land that had been ploughed up until now.
Have you made some small tweaks and changes over those last 3 or 4 or 5 years?
When I started that here on the farm, it was going to be a winter crop rotation with summer cover crops in between in order to try and improve soil health, because drilling winter crops direct drill was probably going to be that bit more easier than trying to get spring crops in. So what has happened in time, I have found that there has been autumns where it has been difficult and very challenging. We have seen that we have to wait till the spring in order to get them crops drilled. And also I've seen that from a grass weed point of view, maybe a winter crop all the time isn't the right solution in order to try and control our grass weeds. So what has happened here is that spring crops have come part of the rotation in order to try and improve our grass weed control and improve soil health as well, because we get a long cover crop in the ground over the winter period in order to boost soil health and soil organic matter. I do find that it is still quite difficult to solely direct drill a spring crop. And just to give one scenario, I suppose, of that trial and error, it was the catalyst, I suppose, when I saw that maybe you can't stick strictly to a no-till system, was in autumn 2019 in this field behind us. It was coming in after oilseed rape. It was the first year direct drilled, and it came in with winter barley. And that was an extremely wet autumn, if you remember back, and it was actually mid-October before we got to drill the winter barley here, which really, in hindsight, was too late for a no-till crop going in. And also probably it was too wet at the time. What happened was there was a very poor crop. So if I was back in that scenario now, I'd hold off, I'd keep my seed in the bag, I'd wait till the springtime, and if I had to go in and give that maybe a run of a cultivator or disc or something, just maybe to dry out that seedbed a bit, that's what we do. And that's really how it's evolved, and it will evolve even further going forward, I think.
So in terms of the machinery then that you decided to choose when you were making the change, what did you go for? Was it a disc, was it a tine type system, or why did you jump into that?
Yeah, I suppose we looked at the tine system and the disc system. The actual make of the drill, I suppose, it wasn't really forefront in our mind. It was getting our rotation and getting our cover crop right, you know, how we're going to get into the system, and then we looked at what drill we were going to go for.
Yeah, overall it's gone very well. Steroid brome in particular in one part of the farm became a fairly major issue, and we had to make a few changes and adjust the rotation slightly.
So it's mid-June, it's a lovely sunny day, the It hasn't rained for a good while. It's fantastic weather, and I'm heading down here to Ryan Eoin Lyons Farm, again in Ballyraggart, just to see how the lads are getting on. On each farm, the ECT project selected a field with a high weed burden to monitor management practice. The ECT project staff used a grid methodology to count weeds each year before harvest. The results reflected how successful or not the weed control measures worked. On the map, squares coloured blue or green have a low weed population, and squares coloured orange or red have a high weed population. Given the level of brome in the previous crop, it was hoped the combination of a direct drill establishment system, which doesn't disturb soils, thereby encouraging brome germination, and winter wheat would be sufficient to control bromes. As Eoin Lyons was converting from plough to a direct drill system, just one field with a high sterile brome population was selected for monitoring. Eoin was keen to retain a winter crop rotation as he felt this was more suitable to a direct drill establishment system. So I'm delighted to be back again here in June. So Eoin, when we hooked up here and looked at the field, it was winter wheat in the field in that year, and we can see from the harvest map there was an awful lot of brome in it. Very obvious in the field?
Absolutely, yeah. You could have left plenty of it, not cut that year if you wanted to avoid it.
Okay, so then you kind of switched on from there then out into the 2020 harvest, and you wanted to try and stick with a winter rotation, and you went for winter oats.
Worst decision we could have done.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just multiplied from there, and it was actually part of that crop we had to take out in March, April time, because there was no oats left. It was just infestated with brome. We had to take it out.
At that stage then, we had to make very different decisions.
Yep.
And what did you do then?
Yeah, so we decided spring crop, and at the time we took decision, kind of press the restart button. We went for a plough, bury all the brome we had on top of the ground, and start again with our spring barley. So that's what we did in 21.
And flicked into spring barley because there'd be less brome growth in spring as well.
Yeah, and try and get our stale seedbed then as well over the winter period, over the autumn period. So.
And we can see then from harvest 21, really good result for the most part, very little. Although the really, really bad patch, there probably still some kind of kicking around that.
There was, in that patch where we, it was coming through all the time through it, it was still there. So, for 2022 then, we made a decision, we wouldn't go back winter, we'd stay with the spring, get our stale seedbed again. But instead of ploughing again and bringing up all the seeds that we had buried the year previous, we decided to go in and not quite direct drill it, but we min-tilled it. So it's just a very shallow run of a disc down to maybe 2-3 inches, and then in with the direct drill.
Okay, in with the direct drill. Spring barley down for harvest 22. We did a few counts even in the spring, but it was clear to see that in the spring of 22, of which oilseed rape went in 22 because you were trying to have a go at that brome again, there was still lots of brome in there, nonetheless. So it's there bubbling in the surface, or underneath the surface, I suppose. The results in general in the field are brilliant. There's no brome in it at all. You must be very happy with that.
Oh, excellent, yeah. Considering where we come from 2 years previous, it was excellent too.
Then you used good herbicide control?
Yeah, look, there's 3 herbicides gone on it. There's Catamaran Turbo, followed by our Stratus Ultra, and then followed by Astrocarb then as well. So we've got good control, I think, in the oilseed rape there at the moment.
Are you going back with winter barley again, or are you going to stick to something that you can control bromes in?
I'm still not happy that all the brome is fully gone from out of the system. So we will come back in with winter wheat, just so we have that broader range of herbicides to try and take out any potential brome that might come through in the crop.
Okay, brilliant. So it's a good result overall.
Excellent, yeah, absolutely.
What sort of lessons did you learn just by participating in the ECT program around this field area for the last few years?
Number one was awareness of weed pressure within the field and how I suppose different crops interact with that. The rotation has changed, so we brought in spring crops into the rotation in order to try and give us a chance to get our stale seedbed and get a chance in order to try and control them grass weeds.
Have you taken many of those lessons out to your larger farm to everything else you're doing out there?
Absolutely. The whole farm has changed based on what we do here. I don't think there's a field that maybe anyone has at the moment that there isn't some bit of grass weed problem in. There's definitely grass weed issues on all of them that have to be looked at.
How are your yields stacking up now in comparison to, say, 5 years ago? when you weren't in the system?
We've seen the yields improve, but that is down to having a good rotation, good grass weed control, directoral coming in there as well, and we've seen now that yields have improved on the farm.
Has it the potential as your normal plough-based establishment system?
It definitely has the potential, but there definitely is more things that can firstly go wrong. The drilling of the crop is the most important when it comes to direct drilling. If you do things right and you make the alterations where you need it, I think absolutely you can reach your full potential.
Overall profitability from your farm, how has that progressed along over the last 5 years?
Everything you do has to be, I suppose, with profitability in mind in order to make money. But I suppose there is, of course, then the reduced costs, number one, in establishing your crop, and also the time. The time is a big factor as well. And especially, when weather windows, I suppose, are getting that bit tighter, being able to get through the work in a quicker space of time and getting your crops drilled in good conditions, it's definitely improving profitability on the farm and cutting by reducing them costs. So maybe looking at our cost input as well definitely has to be considered as well in order to improve our bottom line. But it all links back to profitability at the end of the day, in relation to controlling the weed problem. I couldn't see us ever going back to ploughing, the time involved in ploughing, the cost of it, but also turning up our soil and exposing it and not having cover on the soil, is nearly alien to us the way it is now. I still think though, maybe we have to be flexible that if you have to go and mint-till a field that maybe you didn't establish good cover crop, for whatever reason, it might be weather or whatever it might be, that maybe mint-till might have to happen. But as regards ploughing, no, definitely won't be going back to ploughing.
Yeah, as Eoin said, it was challenging sort of at the beginning, and really you needed to keep the faith. And but as it has gone on, it has proved to be very successful.
There is definitely a lot more interest in non-inversion tillage, and as a result, I suppose a lot of farmers in the region, in the locality, have started that journey as well now. We're definitely on the right track, I think.
So if a neighbour came to you, say, tomorrow or the next day, and was going to get into a similar system that you were going to get into, what 2 or 3 gems of wisdom would you give to that person that you would have loved to had when you were starting out?
Number one is rotation. Everything evolves around a good rotation. And I think number 2, and the biggest one, is to be that bit flexible. I'm not afraid maybe to go with a disc down to 3 inches maybe before my spring crop, just from a mineralisation point of view, and try and dry out that soil a bit for a spring crop. But if you're that bit flexible within the system and maybe change your crop and do a bit of cultivation if it needs to be done here and there, you definitely will, the system will work perfectly for you. Brome is the big problem here. Everyone has some bit of grass seed on their farm, but brome wasn't even thought about here. It was very much the crop, the no-till, the system, and weeds our grass weeds are very much secondary. It's the awareness of the grass weeds on the farm. Know what you have and know how to control them. And if you know all them things, no matter if you're ploughing, directoral and mint-tilling, you will control them, but you have to know what you have and how to go about treating it.
A huge thanks to all the farmers for the benefit of their experience over the last 5 years. If you want to find out more about each of these farmers, visit our website, teagasc.ie, and search the ECT project.